If you're a woman and you're over 40, 45, 50, 60 on up, you may be asking yourself, what things actually work when it comes to beauty? There are so many different options right now, whether it's skincare, surgical procedures, non-surgical procedures. I know I've had a few different things done that I'm going to actually share here on the show, my experiences. And I have a guest who is going to be sharing her knowledge and experience. Today, I have with me Sandra Silverman, who is an author and Miami-based beauty and wellness advocate. Her journey began with one simple but urgent question, the one I just asked: what actually works? After years of trial and error, botched routines, expensive treatments, been there, and overwhelming noise, she started cutting through all the fluff to get to the truth. Her breakthrough book, love this title, by the way, from bullshit to Botox, A Rebel's Guide to Self-Love and Eternal Youth. It's perfect. It's a guide that really helps women take control of their aging journey without losing their minds or their money. She's been featured in People, New York Weekly, USA Today, and more. Sandra, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Carol. I'm so excited to be here.
You know, it's interesting. My first journey into this was it was actually right around the time that we adopted our third son from China. So I was 40 at the time we started the process, and we brought him home. And then it was maybe a year after that, I had breast augmentation. And the reason I did it was, aging and, just the toll it takes, especially on the breasts, just the sagging. And I'm like, oh, I just want to look and feel more confident. So had it done. I don't really have any regrets with it. Although looking back, I now wish I were a little bit of a smaller size as I've gotten older, but that's about the only thing. I only went up actually one size. But it's interesting the reasons that bring us there. And my husband, I had a very supportive husband. He's like, I love you just the way you are, but if this is going to make you feel more comfortable, more confident, I'm all for it. Let's do it. But I think a lot of women go in like they're misinformed. They don't know what to do. There is a lot of noise. So can you share a little bit of your personal journey with all of this?
Yes, I did my first procedure at 27. And as you can read in the book, I've done so many procedures since then. I'm now 54. And a lot of women are misinformed. For example, you're talking about the breast augmentation that you did at 40. So when we're in our 40s, we're going through menopause, perimenopause, 40s, 50s. And a lot of times our breast tissue naturally grows. So in your situation, your actual natural breast may have grown larger. And that's probably why you feel like maybe you shouldn't have gone as large as you did, even though at the time you only went one size up. Is that pretty much correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So women have to be aware of that, because that happened to me as well. I had gone from a B to a D, and then in my 40s, they just went out of control. They were so big. I don't even know what size they were. And I'm like, wait, what's going on? So I did I got smaller implants, and I did this last year or 2 years ago. And then I also had removed a lot of the tissue, because I couldn't even wear tops. Like that made me look so top heavy. So women have to be very careful if they are going to look for breast augmentation when they're younger, because as you get older, your breast tissue probably will grow when you reach like that age of or that stage of your life for perimenopause or menopause. That's from my experience. And
I didn't know that. I didn't know that the breast
yeah,
tissue grows at that period of time.
yes. So if that happened to you, then I mean, you could go in and get, a smaller implant. The other thing is, when women go to meet the doctor for implants, they have to be very aware of the type of implants and the size and the style. So originally, when I got breast augmentation, I have a very small frame. They put in like a medium implant style, where the projection was a medium like projection, which really I should have high profile, not medium. So because of my frame is so narrow. So I learned that over time. So when I went this last time for the lift and for a smaller implant, we talked about that. And she goes, oh, you should have definitely had a high profile implant because you're so narrow. So that was another reason why I was looking so top heavy. I had the wrong implants in. my breast tissue grew. So that's something to be aware of for women who have gotten implants when they were younger. If you're going to do it now, then that's different, because if you're doing it after menopause or right before, then you'll see exactly where your breasts are in terms of size.
No, very good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the high profile, I've heard of that. So I think what you're saying, if I'm understanding it, if you get just the normal, it kind of goes out
Yeah. So it made
wide.
me look wider. Yeah. So
Yes.
the medium made me look wider, and the high profile makes you, for a narrow body frame, is, just makes you look smaller and more lifted. So, and
Okay.
then I
Makes sense.
also, when I went this last time, they put in an internal bra. It's like a mesh internal bra for lifting to keep them lifted. So that's
Very
something
cool.
too. If you're going, for all of your listeners, if they're going to go now for implants, that's what they do. They'll just go to somebody where you know exactly the type of implant that fits your body, the size that you want, and have them maybe do like a 3D type of image so you can see and make sure that they do the internal bra. And you also, especially if you're going for like a lift, have them explain exactly where your incisions are going to be and how the scarring will look after. Because I did this last time around the nipple and down like a lollipop scar, which was fine because I know how to fix scars. I know how to make them, pretty much go away, which I talk about in my book. So if you are interested and you are going, you can read the book also, because I talk about the different types of implants, the different types of procedures where you'll know exactly where the scar will be. And then I talk about how you can eliminate the scar after the fact. Because a lot of
Mm,
times they'll do like a lollipop scar, or they'll just do a half lift just around the nipple. This is for if you're going for a lift as well. Or the anchor scar, which is actually a much larger type scar that's going down and across.
okay, that's good to know. Yeah, taking care of those scars is really important,
Yes. And I
having
talk
had
about
that
that.
done.
Yeah, I talk about that in the book, like how to take care of the scar. And then after the fact, what kind of lasers to do on the scar. And then a step further, how to camouflage the scar. So I got this 2 years ago and my scar's gone.
Wow, wow. No, very important. There are things you can do. I'm assuming like red light therapy might be helpful too.
Yeah, that's helpful. So what I did was I did a V beam, I did a light laser, a CO2, but super, super light on the scar, very light. And then that kind of just made the scar so it just was like on the surface. And then once the redness was gone and it was super flat, then I took it a step further and camouflaged it with permanent makeup.
Okay, I
So
didn't
it's
even
flush.
think
So
about
it's
doing
so
that.
the permanent makeup is a flesh color. So now it just like you look at my breast and you don't see anything. And I
This is
had the
really good to
lollipop
know.
scar. Yes. So at
Really
first you
good
want
to
to
know.
use like a Silogen, which is like a silicone gel on the scar. You want it to heal. That's going to take some time. And then from there, if it's raised, you want to laser it so it's flat. And then you want to do like a V beam or red light therapy, whatever, because it depends on the severity of it. So the V beam for me took the redness away, and then I camouflaged it.
Good advice. Very good advice. Now you've had, I think I read, let me put on glasses so I can read my
Okay.
notes. I'm totally
I've had a
blind
lot.
without it's like, where did I write this down? Maybe I didn't write it down. You've had a lot of different procedures. You
A
started
lot.
in your teens.
Yes.
I can't find the number here that I saw quoted, but what kind of started you on that journey? Do you think that at one point you were doing it for the wrong reasons and then it
Yes.
switched to the right reasons, or what happened there?
100% for the wrong reasons. I was not happy with myself. I was started a relationship with my ex-husband. A month into the relationship, I was 26, and he just randomly looked at me one day and he's like, "Wow, your body's soft. You should go to the gym." And that's the first time in my life that I ever felt like there was something wrong with me, even though at the time I was like, "Oh, I guess he's right. I should go to the gym." It didn't really consciously affect me, but I think subconsciously it did. And then he would always talk about this ex girlfriend that he had that had the best body and the best breasts and all these different things. And I guess subconsciously I was like, oh, I have to like enhance. I should look better. I should look different. So that's kind of what started it. So my first procedure was breast augmentation. And then it just kind of went from there. I definitely did a lot of these procedures for the wrong reason. I was looking for the external beauty instead of really looking toward the inside. And so that's why my first part of my book is all about the external, all about the procedures, all about the surgeries. The second part of the book is all about the internal work that I've done. And which should be the opposite. You should do the internal work first and, make sure that you're
Right.
happy and then do the procedures. And I wanted to write the book because I wanted women to read the book and feel empowered, where they're reading about the procedures, they're being informed, but they're also being empowered where it's fine. Do whatever you want for yourself to make yourself happy, as long as you're doing it for the right reasons. And you're not doing it to impress somebody, or you're not doing them because you feel inferior, because those are the wrong reasons.
I think it's a huge red flag when a husband, a boyfriend is pressuring their girlfriend or wife to have surgery. I mean, I think it's fine to appreciate how she looks, after the fact, be happy with, your wife, your girlfriend. Okay, you look great. But it's an entirely different thing where a woman feels pressured. And I've had this where a few clients have told me stories of getting breast implants that were way too large for their size, like you said, that petite
Yeah.
size. And then I'm talking to them and find out the ex-husband was pressuring them to have bigger breasts. And I'm thinking of somebody right now who went through 3 different breast augmentations in an effort to please her husband. And the very last one, he was saying the outcome he wanted. And I'm like, oh boy, huge red flag.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, I think it's fine. They're supporting you, that they're happy for you, but to pressure an
Oh, no, to
entirely
pressure.
different thing.
He didn't pressure me. It was like it's all subliminal. It was like,
Right,
oh,
right.
this girl had this body. And so I just felt like, oh, okay, I guess that's what I'm supposed to look like. Like it was like more subliminal. It wasn't really, he wasn't like, oh, I don't like your body, I think you need uh to get the surgery. It was just subconscious for me, like, oh, okay, I'll just get mine done. I'll go from a B to
Right,
a D
right,
type of thing. And
right.
then it just kind of went from there. And from there I had rhinoplasty because then I didn't like my nose, and then I had was pregnant with my son and I gained 60 pounds. And you would have thought that I stabbed this guy the way that he acted during my pregnancy. Once I started gaining the weight, it was almost like a slap in his face, instead of being supportive that, oh, okay, I love you so much, you're carrying my child. But instead it was like, you're eating too much. He called himself a whale watcher. I mean, I was huge, but I know myself, and I know I eventually was going to lose the weight, but it wasn't fast enough for him. So he was very insulting after our son was born, and looked at me one day in particular where I lived in Maryland at the time, and my friend lived in New York City, and she invited me for the day, and she's like, just come up on the train. We'll go to lunch. We'll go get our eyebrows done, because she was going to this new person for eyebrows, just to cheer me up because I had a little bit of postpartum depression. So he asked me where I was going, and I was like, oh, Ashu invited me to New York. I'm going to get my eyebrows done and coming back. I was excited. And he looked at me straight in my face and he was like, eyebrows? I wouldn't be worried about my eyebrows if I were you. If I look like that, you need to go to the gym. I was like,
Boy,
wow, like, is this guy for real? I was so mad. Like, internally, I felt so horrible because I knew I was heavy. I still had 40 pounds to lose because 20 pounds I lost during the delivery. It was, the baby, the placenta, but I had 40 pounds of fat to lose. But I know me, and I know I'm not going to stay like that forever. But honestly, I needed a break. I was a new mom. I wasn't had a company. We own a residential lending company together. I was also rescuing a lot of animals at the time. So I had so much on my plate where I'm like, I'm not really worried about the gym right now. I'm just keeping my head above water. Yeah, it was bad. So it took 5 months. 5 months I lost, I got down to, I got up to 180 pounds. So 5 months later, I was down to 125, but fat was distributed in different parts of my body that I didn't have. So I went to see a doctor because I also had an umbilical hernia. Well, we're talking, this is in 2003, where it was amazing because he's like, look, I can do body sculpting while you're in the surgery for your umbilical hernia. Insurance will cover the hospital fee, the anesthesia, the hernia. You just have to pay me for my time. So it was $6,500 to do my entire body, and I was out of pocket.
wow.
And I'm like, I'll do it. 6 hour surgery. However, when I came out of this, I went from a size 27 jean, because the way he sculpted me, to a 25 2 months later. just because of the body sculpting. And he just kind of repositioned and sculpted, like, took the fat that was in between my legs, did like a heart shaped butt. It was everywhere. He did from like my arms all the way down. And so it was worth it. But and it was a long surgery, but I was lucky because we were in 2003 and I was able to do that inexpensively.
Yeah, that's something else. I mean, this type of surgery is very expensive,
Very
thousands and
expensive
thousands
now.
of dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, especially if you're having, more than one procedure done, it can be quite a bit. Has there ever been a time where you were just really disappointed in the
Yes.
results?
Very disappointed. Those surgeries were fine, but fast forward, I did two things I shouldn't have done. In my early 40s, I really wanted a facelift, and my mom talked me out of it. She's like, "No, you don't need it. Promise me you won't do it." And so I'm like, "Fine, I promise." Which I knew that I should have done it. So I was at the gym and I was watching Good Morning America. There is a doctor on the show who did what they call a Y lift. So it's his procedure. He came up with it. The procedure is taking filler with a cannula and you're sculpting the face. So you're going like deep into the tissue and you're actually putting so much filler in. I mean, he may have used like 20 vials or something. It was something crazy. And he sculpted and lifted the face. At the time, I did the procedure. I went to New York. I met him. He seemed nice. It looked good. I looked sculpted. I looked lifted. 2 years later, I repeated the procedure. He came to Miami and I said, "Look, I want to do a little bit of lifting and a little bit in my lips, and that's it. Nothing crazy, not even like as much as we did before." Instead, he put so much filler in my face. Instead of sculpting and lifting, he made it round like a pie. I walked
Oh,
out of there. My face was this big. I looked like a pie. I was like, "Oh my God, what
yeah.
happened?" And he was like, "Oh, well, that's the trend now." I'm like, "To have a pie face? Like, what are you talking about?" It took me an entire year to get this filler out of my face. A year. But I just kept going. I met a dermatologist. She was like, "I don't know what this guy did to you." As when she eventually got the filler out of my face. And when she got it out, that's when a couple years later I was like, "You know what? I'm getting the facelift." So at 47, I found the right doctor, Dr. Giacono. He's in New York City. Took me 2 years to find him just by looking at before and after photos, really doing my research. And it was amazing. He did a great job. The other procedure that I really, really do not recommend, and it was a huge mistake, I let a dermatologist liposuction me, which she didn't even have a lot of experience. She's like, "Oh, you know what? I learned it in medical school and doing my fellowship. I know what I'm doing." My stomach and my knees. When I tell you, she took so much fat out, it was such a disaster. And it's my fault because I should have just done the hard work, gone to the gym, watched what I was eating. I didn't do that. Took the easy way out, and it was a huge mistake. My stomach, the skin sagged so much. I didn't even need a tummy tuck after childbirth, but I needed a tummy tuck after this. So therefore, I had to get a tummy tuck to fix it. So that's another 6.5 hours surgery. And my knees were a complete disaster because when you take out so much fat,
Yeah.
especially at my age, this was probably like, I don't know, 7 years ago in my late 40s. Therefore, I'm, you know, battling that now. So I have loose skin. So eventually I'm going to have to cut the skin. It's like, it's okay right now because I've been using fillers and body threads, but I know that I'm going to have to cut the knee skin. Those are the two I really, the Y lift and you have to be very careful with fillers if you're going to do that much. It's better just to get the facelift and then maintain. It's better if you can to get the facelift in your 40s and then maintain after that with a little bit of filler, a few threads. Like, for example, yesterday I went because I was starting to sag because I've lost a lot of weight recently and this was sagging. I did threads here on each side, one on each side, going all the way up into my skull to lift. Two on each side. I just did it. And a little bit of filler around here, a little bit in my lips, and it looks like I had a mini facelift from
Yeah,
where
it
I
looks
started the
great.
day before. Thank
It
you.
looks great. Yeah, the most of what I've had done, I haven't had a lot of surgery. I had the mini tummy tuck twice on the breast. I changed from the saline to the, why am I
The
drawing a
silicone.
blank? Yeah, silicone. I was just drawing a blank on that word. So I did that, but most of what I've had done are the fillers, the Botox. I tried And I understand the filler disaster because my body really, for some reason, just holds on to filler. So I remember going once to get a touch up, and boy, it wasn't a touch up, it just overfilled. So I know exactly what you're
Yes.
talking about, the lips, the lower face. And I already have a round face. Like I don't need help department. It's just
So
naturally
where do you
round.
get the fillers?
Where do I get the fillers? I go to a
No, where? I meant where on your face?
Oh,
Do you
where on the
where
face? Sorry. Yeah, I've gotten them like the ones
like
through
listen,
the cheeks. Uh-huh. And then I'd had a little bit through the jawline, but
yes.
those were 3 years ago. So that was
Yeah.
3 years ago.
Okay.
And then once a year, I'll have a tiny bit because I get these lines right
Yeah.
here over my mouth. Thank you, Dad, very much. They come from Dad. I had them since I was like, I don't know, a teenager. And so I'll get a little bit around the face, but I do have to be careful. It's just like a little bit goes a long way. And my
Yeah.
body just, now, Botox is a different story.
Right.
I can blaze through that because
Yeah.
I lift weights. You make faces when you
Yeah.
lift weight. You tighten your neck and your jaw, and so they
Yeah.
were always telling me you're undoing your Botox. So that's most of what I've had done. But I
Yeah, because
remember,
your face, you have such a pretty face and it's like very much you have a rounder face, but it looks lifted. So they're doing a good job. Like you look natural.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a
Yeah.
point. I'm going to say a couple of years ago, and that's when they overfilled. And
Yeah. You have to be careful, especially if you have a naturally round face, you can just blow
yeah,
up.
I felt like a moon. Like here I come.
Yeah.
I'm a moon face. And
Yeah.
yeah, so and people do notice too, and that's the
Right.
bad thing about that.
Of
And you don't
course.
want that. You want to look, as naturally beautiful as you can. My other thing, and I don't know if you've had the thermage, and that was my disaster. It hurt so bad, and I was after that knee area. I was trying to
Yeah.
tighten up that knee area that all of us get. I'm 64. I had this done. I was like, I think 57 at the time. Hurt so bad.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was like somebody was putting cigarettes out on my knees, and then it did nothing.
No, it
Like,
doesn't work.
did
That's the
nothing.
biggest misconception. People think that these lasers, now, what lasers do work for? Resurfacing, things like that. Like, I love the CO2 laser if you have a scar or you want to
Mm,
resurface your skin like once. Halo, BBL if you're trying to take off pigmentation, things like that. If you're trying to tighten your skin, they do not work.
mm,
I don't see where they work at all, like for tightening skin. Or stool
agreed.
sculpt or whatever. That stuff doesn't work. I just think it's like a gimmick, honestly. Morpheus 8, I'm so scared of because it sags the skin as well. So I don't believe in them.
Yeah, I have avoided everything ever since the thermage. I think I cooled
Yeah.
sculpting once.
And did it work for you?
Not
Oh,
really. Didn't do a whole lot. I used to compete in bodybuilding, in figure and bikini bodybuilding. So when you go through that process, you lose a lot of body fat. So
oh yeah.
it is akin to somebody who's lost a lot of weight, but it's more of your actual body fat. So you get very lean through your face. You get
Yes.
very gaunt. You can have a problem with loose skin, and so I was after that tightening right before the show because the body fat was so low. But you hit it with the knees because I get that question a lot. I get the loose skin question,
Yeah.
as a fitness professional, and I'm always telling women, skip the creams, go to the gym. Like if you fill up that area with
Yeah.
muscle, if you build up muscle, it is going to give a better appearance, a more
Mhm.
full and soft appearance to the skin.
It will. And that's what I do. I'm in the gym a lot. I did lose a lot of weight recently. So they're a little saggy, but not that much. But yeah, it's the protein. I make sure I eat 100 grams a day. I'm a vegetarian, so it's a little difficult,
Mhm.
but I do it. And that helps as well. But yeah, you're right. But then you could, I still, my trainer, she competes and she complains too about a little bit of sagginess in the knees. I mean, there's one doctor that I know that will cut the skin eventually if you need it, where you're not doing a thigh lift. She just cuts above the knee. And I went to her for my elbows. She cut my elbow skin without doing an arm lift.
Oh, wow.
They're not easy to find. She's the only doctor I know that does both. And she's in New York.
So how do you find, what is your advice for finding doctors? So let's say somebody's going, I'd really like to think about a facelift or a neck lift or something to that manner. How do you find, especially for the face? Because that's scary. It scares me. I haven't had a facelift,
Yeah.
and that's why I keep getting the filler, I'm afraid.
Right. You're afraid. It's a process. Like you really, for your area, even sometimes you have to travel because you might live in an area where there really isn't a
Oh, yeah.
talented person. Number one, the person has to only do facelifts. They can't do body, they can't do a vagina reconstruction, breast augmentation, and facelifts because that person's not an expert. That person isn't doing 300 facelifts a year. They're doing a lot less because they're doing other procedures. So, number one, for whatever procedure you want, that doctor should only be doing that procedure, whether it's breast augmentation, facelift, body sculpting, tummy tuck. You want to go with somebody that's all they do. That's the first thing. And then you want to look at obviously their reviews, you want to look at before and afters, you want to research if do they have lawsuits, things like that.
Now, I've heard like California is difficult. Is that true to get information, accurate information on a surgeon out of that state?
Oh, you're meaning the cases are closed or sealed.
Yes, it's
I'm
just
not
something that
aware of
I've
that.
heard.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But I mean, even like looking at their Instagram helps, like to see the before and afters, their
Mhm.
website before and afters. I know some doctors are really good who don't post those things, but you definitely need to read reviews. That's
Mhm.
100%. And I know you're going to get an unhappy patient here and there that may nothing that person or anybody can do is good enough type of person, and you're going to find those. But overall, the reviews should be 5 stars.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
And then I know I had to find this out. I didn't realize there's surgeons that are more conservative and then surgeons that are more, I don't want to use the term aggressive, but maybe assertive in nature with what they're willing to do. What do you think is better there? Because I've heard things where if a surgeon is too conservative, the woman comes out and feels like, yeah, I spent all that money.
Yeah, there has to be a happy medium. And you'll know that by looking at their before and after pictures. When I found Dr. Jacono, I was blown away by his work. I mean, it was, and I went to him before he was famous. So I went to him when prices were good. He wasn't famous yet. And then it just kind of, he did a housewife and it kind of, his career took off.
Oh,
So
he
I
did
was
one of
able
the
to find him
housewives.
before that. I was blown away by his work. Honestly, I was so impressed. I feel like you need to be super impressed with their work. And even if they aren't posting and you go to their office, ask them to see their before and after photos. I think it's really important to see because
Hmm.
you're right. You can go to some doctors and they're just so conservative. Like you want to know, you want to see a difference, but you want to look like yourself. So you just want to look like yourself 10 years younger, 15 years younger.
Exactly. That kind of refreshed, tighter. Okay, I look a little bit how I looked at
Right.
my point, like at 50, I'd be happy to look like I'm
But
at
the
50.
issue also is that when women wait too long, sometimes they can't make your face look like you did when you were 30 in terms of the shape.
Hmm.
And some women come out of these facelifts where their shape is completely different.
Oh, yeah, I've
It's
seen
not an
that.
apple shape, it's not an oval shape. Now it's square. So I've seen that too. And that's not what you want. You want to look like you did however many years ago. You want that same shape. But some doctors aren't even capable of that. They can pull you tight, but they're going to change the shape of your face.
Right. And tight can look not so good.
Yeah.
I've seen that
No.
before,
Yeah.
where it's
It's like,
just full back.
no, you've gotta really talk to them about their techniques. I talk about the different types of facelifts in my book. So your listeners can read the book or even download it and listen to me because I narrate it. So it's like we're talking right now. And even skip to that part if they don't want to read the whole book, to the facelift part, because I talk about all the different types of facelifts and what the expectations are.
Okay. No, that is really good to know because I didn't even know they were honestly different types
Yeah. There are
other
different types.
than
Like you can
other
do a
than
mini.
full
Yeah.
mini. Right.
No, there's so many different types. So I talk about everything in the book as well. Just so it's like the book is very funny and humorous, but it's also very informative. So whoever, or they can download it. It's all everything's on Amazon or Barnes and Noble.
And you said it's on Audible too, or it's
It's on
audiobook?
Audible too. Yeah, it's
Okay.
easy. It's like you
Yeah.
can just download it. It's super simple. It's like I think 99 cents or something to download it. And it's like you and I talking because since I narrate it, but it's funny to listen to it.
I'll have to, that's kind of
Okay.
my thing. I go on long walks
Yeah.
and listen to
Oh yeah,
audiobooks.
it's funny. But it's informative. So every procedure's in there, beauty treatments. I talk about even like very inexpensive treatments that you can do at home because I'm a big believer in lymphatic work. So I talk about the different tools that I use for lymphatic. You know, for people that don't want to go to the salon to get a facial, there's a Jesner peel that you can get on Amazon for $14. So there's a lot you can do at home. Yeah. And I talk about that in the book. Dermaplaning is great. Do you do dermaplaning?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
I do. And I even have a little tool for at home.
Yeah, so you
It's
can
very,
dermaplane at home. You can
yeah.
go to the spa to dermaplane. So I talk about that. The lymphatic work for me has been a game changer because I was always super puffy, not my entire life, but probably from these and beyond, very like just holding so much fluid. And
Mm.
could have been from all the procedures I've done that it just sort of messed with the lymphatic system. So I do lymphatic work and I discovered that during COVID just by accident. My trainer and I were just messing around and had like a pizza roller or dough roller and all of a sudden I wasn't puffy anymore. I'm like, okay. um,
You know, I want to dig into this a little bit because I've heard a lot about the lymphatic work. I followed a few influencers that swear by it. I personally have not done it. I know exactly what you're talking about, that puffy thing. And it's interesting because I just did research for a workshop I did on, and I was researching estrogen,
yeah.
progesterone, all the different effects of when these fluctuate. And I didn't realize when progesterone exit, it starts to affect your fluid balance. And I was like, okay, now this is and causes
Yeah,
more,
that's
water retention.
right. So yeah, I
So,
was holding a lot of water. And so what I do every day, first I dry brush, then I have two different tools. I have one that's manual. It's called a fascia blaster and you can find them on Amazon. The brand that I use is Ashley Black. And then recently I bought a tool called Glow and that's like electric. So that's like more of an electric current instead of the manual. And it's super easy. It's the same thing. It just depends like if you want to do it manually or not. So it's the dry brushing. You could do one of the tools, the fascia blaster I like with a caffeine cream. So I use the caffeine
okay.
cream and I use a gua sha. So the caffeine cream I use the back of my legs for sure. That helps with cellulite. So I don't really have cellulite anymore because of doing all the lymphatic work and using that caffeine cream and making sure I'm getting enough protein and doing the weight training. So all of that combined took away the cellulite because these cellulite treatments don't work.
Oh no, they do not. That's
No.
another question I get a lot. People, women get very frustrated. And of course, they're more prone to it. Men don't get it.
Yeah.
Women get it. So now when you're doing the lymphatic treatment, is this daily? Are you
Yeah.
going over various parts of your body? How does that
So
work?
daily with my face, stomach, legs, front and back.
And how long does that take? Just out of curiosity.
It could take like a good 30 minutes for sure. Because I do the front of the legs one day, the back.
Did I lose you?
Hi. I don't know
There
what
we go.
happened. Sorry.
It's okay. It said an incoming call came through or
Yeah.
something. I think it
Sorry.
interrupted. That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah. So every day. So I would say 30 minutes a day. I think it's really important, especially the dry brushing and using, even if you just use a gua sha on your face, your stomach, but the caffeine cream for sure. I use it on my stomach. I use it on the back of my legs. It can be any caffeine cream and it
Yeah,
really
that was a,
helps.
that was a big one in the bodybuilding world. So
Yeah.
as you got closer to stage time, we would rub those types of creams on the lower belly, on the inner thighs, the back of the legs, things such as that. So
Yes.
and I actually did find it to be helpful, because it
Yes.
had that kind of
Yeah.
tightening drawing effect. Now, what about Botox? What are your thoughts on Botox? I've heard a lot of
Yeah.
different, I've had women on the show. I've heard everything from, yeah, it's good to
Yeah.
do. No, don't do it.
I know I do it. I use Dysport, but I'm a big believer in it. I have friends that stop using it and they're taping their face, and I'm telling you, it does not work. I don't care
Mm,
how long you tape your face and you try to take away the wrinkles and lift or whatever you're doing, and it doesn't work. So, and I'm
I
sure there are
agree.
people that say, no, you're wrong. I do it. I believe in it. I'm going to continue to do it. I
I'm the
don't use
same way.
Botox. I use Dysport because Botox, for some reason, my body metabolizes it so quickly. So with Dysport, it lasts longer. So I can go like 5 months.
Okay, I need to look into that because I
Yeah,
do the same thing. My body, because of the way, I don't know what it is, if it's the lifting,
it's the working
just
out. Yeah.
metabolism, whatever, it's gone.
Yes.
But I think
Look.
it's
Yeah. Look into Dysport.
something simple you can do, and you can do the lip flip, I know, rather than the fillers if you don't want that full look.
Like the lip flip for me doesn't work. So I do to lift my lip. So you want to be careful because you don't want a lot of space in between the bottom of your nose and the top of your lip because that shows the signs of aging. So you want that to be as minimal as possible without getting a lip lift. I'm want eventually probably will get the lip lift. The lip lift is a surgical procedure where they cut like underneath your nose to lift, which I know people that have had it. There's a doctor in Delray who's the best in the world. His name is Dr. Mascaro. He's literally you can look on his Instagram. He's the best, world renowned. This is all he does. I like to use the Russian technique where they're placing the filler in a downward motion to lift up. So if you can see, I just did mine last night. I don't have a lot of
Okay.
space. Do you see,
Yeah,
like,
you
I don't have a
don't.
lot of
You don't.
space, but only because I lifted a couple millimeters upward. And that's just the way she applied the filler.
Okay. No, that's
Mhm.
good to know because I have
Yeah.
had lip filler in the past. I haven't had it in quite a
Yeah, it's
while.
like it's called a Russian technique. So they're the way that she's placing it like down and kind of just doing the border and lifting it up. So she's just
Okay,
not
that's good to
going
know.
like in the middle. She's doing the border and lifting like upwards. So then I don't have a lot of space because a lot of space there is definitely a sign of aging.
Okay, I'd never thought about that. And then somebody that just does lips, and I didn't know about the lip lift. I only knew that there were fillers. I didn't know there was a
No,
procedure.
yeah, you can look on his Instagram, Dr. Mascaro. He does amazing work. So you can do a lip lift. That's a surgical procedure, but you have to be careful where you have to make sure you have enough millimeters where it doesn't look fake. Because for a person that really doesn't need it, if you lift it too much, you're going to be like this and you're going to show too much teeth and then you're going to look weird.
Oh, yeah, or that kind of fishy mouth where it's
Right.
like
But a
all the
good
way out.
doctor that does lip lifts will say, okay, you have enough millimeters where you're going to look natural.
Yeah, and I would say to add to that, you just said a good doctor. I think sometimes people are trying to save money on fillers and Botox. I've had friends do that, and they'll just start going to whoever. Like,
No,
oh, I
you
went over to such and such
no.
house, and
This
they're an
isn't a
RN,
Groupon.
and
This isn't a party thing where you just go to a party and have Botox or this is your face. Like this isn't a
right.
Groupon. Like if you don't have enough money saved to go to the right doctor, don't go. Just wait until you do.
I would agree. I pay more on all of these things because I want the reputable, the reputable spa, the reputable
Yes,
doctors, and I want them to have a lot of injection experience. It's
exactly.
really good if they understand facial structure because I
Yes.
think to just go in injecting any old place is not
No.
going to yield the results you
You need
want.
to find somebody that's an expert in facial balancing. Like you can't go to somebody that doesn't understand how the face is structured and how to balance the face properly because you see a lot of people that get work done and they look uneven.
Yes, yes, I've seen that, and even with the eyes, I've seen the eye procedures. Another one I've been thinking about that kind of opens up the eyes, and I've seen really good ones and really not so good. What have you done for the eyes, if anything, to kind of
Nothing.
open them
So
up?
I
Nothing.
thought I needed something. So recently I went to a doctor in Miami. First, I went to him because he does something called the Eve lift, and it's like just a little mini facelift. Because I thought, okay, maybe I'll just go and see him, see if he can just do a little tweak so I don't have to get the threads or the filler or whatever. Since I got my facelift at 47, so that was 7 years ago. He literally kicked me out of his office and he was like, I don't want to see you in here for at least a few years. But when I was there, I said, I think my eyes are drooping. He's like, okay, I have a doctor I can send you to in Fort Lauderdale who's an expert with eyes. So I'm like, okay. So I go to him and I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, I have droopy eyes. What can you do for me? And he's like, get out of my office. So I got kicked out twice. And I'm like, okay. He's like, you don't have droopy eyes. I'm like, look, but that's the millimeters. And he's like, no, 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 that's not a droopy eye. He's like, I'm going to make you look like very strange and you're going to be very unhappy if I touch your eyes. So I haven't done anything. The only thing is when I did my facelift, I did a mini at the time, and the mini included a minor neck lift, and he did a temporal lift. So the temporal lift is where they lift, your kind of this part, and the incision is in your Caroline. He told me because I said, no, I just need a mini. I don't need that part. He goes, no, 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 no. If I do this and I don't lift this, you're going to be very unhappy. And I have a friend that did this and her doctor did not suggest this. And she wishes she had done this. She was very unhappy. So I see now what he's talking about.
And it's good that you had somebody like that. That's a sign of a good surgeon. If they're just going to be honest with you, even somebody who's injecting to say, you know what, I don't think you're going to be happy with this. I think it's too much.
Yeah.
Or just be honest with you. Because we can be so critical of ourselves. I do this. I get in the mirror and kind of
Oh yeah.
look at every little thing. And I see things that honestly nobody else sees.
And you're always going to find somebody that's going to agree with you and they're going to do something that they shouldn't be doing. So those doctors are out there, those PAs are out there. So you're always going to find somebody that will, I mean, you see that because you see women walking around that are too tight or too lifted or their nose is too small for their face because people
Yeah.
they get carried away. Like it can become an addiction. For me, it wasn't really an addiction where I needed the surgeries, but it became just part of my life in terms of, okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And it just became crazy. But I wouldn't say I was addicted because I didn't carry it too far. Like I did a lot, but I still look natural. So I don't
Yeah.
think I
You look
care.
very
Yeah,
natural.
I didn't carry it too far, but I know that I could have carried it too far. When this person just told me, get out of my office, I could have found somebody else that would say, yeah, yeah, let me give you the facelift. And then I'd be pulled and too tight and look crazy. Because then you can start looking like a cat.
Oh yeah, and we all have seen that even
Yeah,
in Hollywood botched surgeries, and you can tell right away,
right.
oh my gosh, they went too far, the eyes don't look
Yeah.
right, doesn't look natural. Because ultimately, we just wanna look more youthful,
Yes.
more natural, and I know for me, I don't need to look like I did when I was 20 or 30, like, I'm always just happy to look just a few years younger and the best version of myself right now that I can potentially be. And I think for most women, that's where they're at. They're not looking at drastically changing their
No.
features or anything like that.
Because you can drastically change, but you're not going to look like yourself. You're going to have a different face shape. I mean, there are doctors that will drastically change you and make you
Oh,
look
yeah.
super young, but you're going to look crazy. You're going to look robotic.
And then if it doesn't match the body, I mean,
Yeah.
even if you're working out, okay, our skin ages all over our body. So to me, it's like, okay, I don't want this super young face and
Right.
my
And
body's
rest of
looking a
me.
little older. Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks matched in a way. Now, you talked about the inner work, and I don't want to neglect hitting on that because it's so, so important. What should women be doing before they ever think about making these changes?
Number one, eliminate toxic people from your life. If you have a toxic person that's bringing you down, toxic friendships, you're in a toxic relationship, you have to make a move. That would be number one because you have to feel 100% balanced in all aspects of your life. And that's what I was lacking. I didn't feel balanced. I lived in flight or fight. I lived under like with so much anxiety on a daily basis in my marriage. And I just didn't feel right. Like I wouldn't be able to accomplish half of what I'm doing now if I'd stayed in this marriage. So that would be number one. And to achieve that, I did life coaching. I was with spiritual healers, I was with life coaches, and that's what helped me. It could be a therapist that helps you. It could be, anything like your friends could help you. But I was able to, once I started eliminating the toxic people out of my life, everything changed for me.
That's a big one. Because even though he didn't directly say to you, okay, go get plastic surgery, he was saying things that were making you feel
Oh yeah.
less than, like you
It
had to
wasn't
go
even
that
just that. There
direction.
was so much infidelity. And I could have dealt
Mm.
with the infidelity. What I couldn't deal with was him constantly wanting to leave. So we had four separations, and that wasn't even including all the times that he would say to me, like, oh, I'm leaving you. Oh, I don't want to be with you. I mean, oh, I'm not sexually attracted to you. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. I mean, it was always something. And I was like, who can live like this? Like, I can't live under this kind of anxiety on a daily basis. Like, it was just too much. So the last time that he left, which was last summer, I filed for a divorce. I'm like, okay, I can't do this pattern anymore of like breaking up, getting back together. So yeah, so that's when I was really ready to let go after it happened, like for the fourth time. But that didn't even include all the times that he wanted to break up with me, or just living with that kind of anxiety. I couldn't even achieve anything. Basically, it was like it's just you're just going through each day, like trying to keep your head above water. So I would say number one, you have to get rid of anything toxic in your life, which whether it's a friendship, whether it's a marriage, whatever it is. And in order to achieve that, you may need help from a life coach or a therapist or spiritual healers helped me. I met somebody in Sedona and she helped me. as well.
Yeah, Sedona is always the place for some
Yeah. I
reason.
was like,
That's
I
why I'm
just was in
smiling.
Sedona and I like stumbled in this place and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But that was after the separation, like 2 weeks later. But she was very helpful. But yeah, so I would say start with that.
And good for you to leave something that was so toxic, that was so really destructive in a
Yeah.
sense, having somebody kind of dangle this I'm leaving all the time and repeating this pattern. And so I mean really it took a lot of courage
Thank
to do
you.
what you did. That's not easy to do. And especially, once we get to a certain age, that can be harder and harder
Yeah. 100.
to let go. Yeah, even when it's something we know, hey, this is not good, it can still be really, really hard to move forward and scary. So
It is scary.
really
It's scary to be alone. I was with them for 27 years and I was scared 100%.
a long time, a long time, but
But I
good
will
for you.
tell everybody that there is life out, after being in a 27-year marriage. And I started dating right away and just, I've met a lot of people. And this past year's been quite an adventure, but definitely worth it. I got myself back, my old self back that, was lost for so long. So I'm back to my old, like, happy personality. And my old self is just, very chill, very happy, and I'm back to that again. I have my brightness back and it just took some time.
And as somebody who, I don't really like the word influencer, but I'll use it here because we all know what that means. As an influencer, I'm sure that allows you to help more women who might be in similar
Yeah.
situations, and you can really be an example for other women who are dealing with something similar.
That's my goal. So the first book, From Bullshit to Botox, was more like about the procedures and that sort of thing to empower women that way. My second book, which isn't released yet, is From Bullshit to Broken Hearts. It's all
Oh,
about my marriage. It's all about dating at the time at 53 years of age and the adventures I went through this past year. I ended the book in like April. It's finished. It's not released yet. And then I just started my own talk show slash podcast called Parties Over. We're filming right now, so that's going to be released soon. So each episode has two segments and a spillet. So segment A is all about reverse aging, segment B is all about toxic relationships, and then the spillet, somebody writes in, one example, like a letter or whatever, and then we answer that. So it's funny, it's informative, same as the books, but hopefully empowering for women to watch, because we talk about toxic relationships and red flags and all these different things like gaslighting and whatever they're going, like everybody that watches it will get something out of it, but it's done in like kind of a humorous way but yet important.
no, I love the format of that. So many women are struggling with similar things, and especially at that midlife juncture, where you hit along about 50, and that's where things kind of start to slap you in the face, like past trauma, toxic relationships, whatever just seems to boil up to the surface for some reason at that juncture of life. So really important to have avenues where women can talk about that and address it. Now, I want to be respectful of your time. And as
Oh yeah,
we
no, this is great.
start to wrap up, is there something that you'd like to let the listeners know, a piece of advice or anything that you can think of?
Well, number one, you have to have self-worth and self-love. And if you don't have that, like, you have to choose you over everything else. Like, if you don't choose you, nobody else is going to choose you. Like, you have to choose yourself. And that's what I've learned all after all these years, because I wasn't choosing me. I stayed in this for so long because I was choosing, I wanted to keep my family together. I wanted to, keep the family, like, everything close, and I felt scared and I felt like a failure and I wasn't choosing myself. And then I decided when I woke up after this last separation to choose me. So I feel like have self-worth, have self-love, however you need to get there, and choose you. That would be my
So
best
good.
advice. And
So good.
I'm available anytime. So with any of your listeners, if they want to find me on my Instagram, it's Sandra Lena Silverman. I have a website, Sandra Lena Silverman, and I do FaceTimes. I do it for free. Like if they have questions about, any procedure or advice, I'm here.
No, that's great. That's great because it's so much needed, especially, I mean, with all of the noise, all of the options. We have more options than we've ever had. And it's difficult to cut through that noise. And I love what you said about the self-worth because I think women think they think they're being selfish with that. And it's not selfish. You really can't help. You can't help anybody else without first addressing your own needs, I think. Really good advice. Thank you so much,
Thank
Sandra. This has
you.
been a fun
Thank
conversation, an
you, Cheryl.
enlightening
Thank you for inviting
conversation.
me. This has been great. Thank you.
And to our listeners, wherever you are in the world, we wish you every blessing. Bye for now.